Perturabo, one of the 20 Primarchs created by the Emperor, was cast across the galaxy by the warp and landed on the mountainous planet of Olympia, a harsh world divided into warring city-states. Olympia was ruled by tyrants and warlords who built massive fortresses to protect their domains. Found by Damikos, the tyrant of Lokos, Perturabo quickly rose in the ranks due to his exceptional intelligence and understanding of warfare. From a young age, Perturabo demonstrated a genius for fortifications, siegecraft, and engineering. Unlike other Primarchs, who are more attuned to diplomacy or strategy, Perturabo focused on cold efficiency and the practicalities of war. His early life was spent mastering the art of war and growing increasingly frustrated with the petty politics of Olympia. He felt detached from the world, burdened by knowledge and an intellect that isolated him from his peers. Perturabo's intellect wasn't limited to warfare alone. He had a deep understanding of architecture and technology, often building and designing complex structures. His personality, however, was marked by a cold detachment. Even as a child, he displayed a lack of empathy, a trait that would define much of his later relationships, both with his legion and his fellow Primarchs. When the Emperor finally arrived on Olympia, Perturabo did not react with the awe or reverence that many of his brothers did. Instead, he accepted the Emperor as his father, but felt no particular bond with him. Perturabo immediately accepted the Emperor's offer to lead the 4th Legion, the Iron Warriors, and was taken to Terra to further instruction. The Iron Warriors mirror their Primarch, stoic, cold, and brutal efficiency in their methods. Perturabo's early life set the foundations for his later role as one of the Imperium's foremost siege masters. His talent for fortifications and his cold, calculating mind made him indispensable to the Emperor, though he would always feel that he was never truly appreciated, especially compared to some of his brothers. Perturabo took command of the Iron Warriors. They became the Imperium's premier siege specialists. The Iron Warriors were often assigned to campaigns that required breaking through heavily fortified enemy worlds, and they performed these tasks with ruthless precision. However, this constant involvement in brutal sieges took a toll on the Legion, earning them a reputation for being relentless and unfeeling in their approach to warfare. One of Perturabo's most notable campaigns during the Great Crusade was the compliance of the planet Hydra Cordatus. Known for its towering fortifications and resilient defenders, Hydra Cordatus stood as a testament to the power of defensive warfare. Perturabo, with his unparalleled understanding of siegecraft, orchestrated a series of calculated assaults that eventually shattered the planet's defenses, forcing its leaders into compliance with the Imperium. This victory demonstrated the Iron Warriors' mastery of siege warfare, but it also reinforced their role as the Imperium's blunt instrument. Despite these successes, Perturabo's resentment grew over time. He believed that the Emperor used him and his legion only for the most grueling and thankless assignments. This was especially true when compared to Rogal Dorn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, who was often celebrated for his defensive works and entrusted with high-profile construction projects, including the defense of Terra itself. While Perturabo's Iron Warriors were tasked with destroying fortresses, Dorn's Imperial Fists were praised for building them. The relationship between Perturabo and Dorn was strained from the start. Dorn's pride in his fortifications contrasted sharply with Perturabo's destructive expertise. While Dorn was often held up as the ideal Primarch for defensive warfare, Perturabo felt that his own genius was undervalued. This deepened Perturabo's bitterness, as he saw Dorn's receiving accolades for creations that he knew he could tear down. Yet, he was never given the same recognition. As the Great Crusade drew to a close, Perturabo's frustration simmered. He felt overburdened by the endless sieges and deeply envious of the recognition given to his brother Rogal Dorn. This resentment would play a significant role in Perturabo's eventual decision to turn against the Imperium during the Horus Heresy. Though at this stage of the Crusade, his loyalty, though strained, remained intact. When the galaxy erupted into civil war during the Horus Heresy, Perturabo sided with Horus, feeling betrayed by the Emperor and disillusioned with the Imperium. His expertise in siege warfare made him one of Horus's most valuable assets during the rebellion. As the conflict reached its climax, Perturabo was entrusted with the task of assaulting the ultimate prize, the Imperial Palace on Terra, the fortress built by his rival, Rogal Dorn. Perturabo meticulously planned the siege of Terra, employing his vast knowledge of siegecraft to breach the formidable defenses Dorn had erected. The Iron Warriors, alongside the other traitor legions, launched relentless assaults on the palace walls, bombarding them with massive siege engines and overwhelming firepower. The battle was one of attrition, as Perturabo sought to break through Dorn's defenses piece by piece. Despite their best efforts, the siege proved more difficult than even Perturabo had anticipated. Dorn's defenses held them firm for much longer than expected, and the traitor forces were drawn into a prolonged and bloody struggle. Perturabo's Iron Warriors led many of their direct assault, suffering heavy casualties as they attempted to breach the palace's outer walls. As the siege dragged on, Perturabo's frustration grew. He had dreamed of toppling Dorn's fortifications, proving once and for all his superiority over his rival. However, as the battle turned into a brutal stalemate, Perturabo realized that victory might slip through his grasp. His personal vendetta against Dorn consumed him, driving him to push his forces even harder. But the cost in lives was enormous. The siege ultimately ended in failure for the traitor legions, not because of Perturabo's lack of skill, but due to Horus's death at the hands of the Emperor. With their leader gone, the traitor legions were forced to retreat, leaving Perturabo to once again bear the bitter sting of defeat and unfulfilled ambition. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy and the fall of the traitor legions, Perturabo and his Iron Warriors retreated into the Eye of Terror alongside the other traitor forces. However, unlike some of his brothers who sought to consolidate their power, Perturabo harbored a relentless hatred for the Imperium, particularly Rogal Dorn and the Imperial Fists. This animosity culminated in the infamous Iron Cage incident. Perturabo constructed an elaborate series of traps and fortifications on Sebastus IV, daring Dorn to confront him in a final test of siegecraft. The battle was a brutal and bloody affair, with the Iron Warriors inflicting devastating losses on the Imperial Fists. Though Dorn's legion eventually claimed victory with the help of the Ultramarines, it was a Pyrrhic one, as they emerged battered, broken, and almost decimated. The Iron Cage was not merely a tactical conflict, but a manifestation of Perturabo's deep-seated bitterness and desire to prove his superiority over Rogal Dorn. The devastation wrought upon the Imperial Fists forced the Emperor to intervene, ordering Robute Guilliman and his Ultramarines to rescue the beleaguered legion. It was during this battle that Perturabo's mastery of siege warfare reached its zenith, and though the conflict ended inconclusively, the Iron Warriors' tactics and resilience were immortalized in infamy. After the Iron Cage, it is believed that Perturabo was elevated to the status of Demon Prince by the Chaos Gods in recognition of his skill and relentless willpower. However, as of the 41st millennium, there is ambiguity surrounding his current state. Some sources claim he is indeed a Demon Prince, ruling over Meditative, the Iron Warriors' fortress world within the Eye of Terrors. Others suggest that Perturabo remains unchanged, still driven by bitterness and hatred rather than corrupting powers of chaos. This ambiguity reflects the complexity of Perturabo's fate. He remains a figure caught between the mortal and the immortal, never truly satisfied, even in his supposed ascension. Settled on Meditative, a planet turned into a nightmarish fortress of endless defenses and towering citadels, Perturabo has become an eternal builder and destroyer, embodying both the genius and the futility of siegecraft. His world is a mirror of his soul. Every wall, battlement, and fortress constructed only to be torn down and rebuilt again in an unending cycle of creation and destruction. The Iron Warriors, still the galaxy's ultimate masters of siege warfare, serve him with unwavering loyalty, their only purpose now to perfect their art of war under the shadow of their unrelenting master. Perturabo's tale is a tragedy, a Primarch with the potential to be one of the Imperium's greatest strategists and builders, who instead became its bitter enemy. His descent into treachery could have been avoided if only the Emperor had shown him a fraction of the recognition he craved. In the end, His legacy is one of brilliance, marred by resentment and anger, a genius of war, forever chained to his obsession with destruction. As a result, Perturabo stands as a cautionary figure in the annals of the Imperium, a stark reminder of what happens when a son is left unappreciated and unloved.